well out there, I hope, and welcome to Awesome Riff of the Day and How to Play It Friday edition. Today we're going to have a look at the very cool, quick and jaunty little opening riff, or riffs to be more precise, to Wearing and Tearing by Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin from their 1982 album, Coda. Gonna chit-chat for just a couple of minutes about this track and in general where Zeppelin were musically at this point in time before digging into the tutorial. So feel free to skip ahead too if you'd like to bypass this little rock and roll history preamble. Now then, Wearing and Tearing. This track was recorded in 1978 and surprisingly left off the band's 1979 album In Through the Outdoor. Not a doubt in my mind that it would have enhanced that album greatly were it included, but you know, alas. Don't really know exactly what the thinking was here in that regard, as it's a fantastic hard rocking track and in my opinion the very best cut from Coda. Now, with the 1979 release of In Through the Outdoors, Zeppelin found themselves, for really the first time in their career, going for a bit more of a progressive sound with their music in an effort to match and compete with shifting musical tastes as the 70s grew to a close. A misstep, if I do say so myself. Also, for the first time in their career, it was driven almost exclusively from a production and songwriting standpoint by bassist John Paul Jones and not Jimmy Page. One can thank drug and alcohol addiction for this development, as Page was a mess at this point in the 70s with both alcohol and heroin, as was drummer John Bonham with, I believe, strictly alcohol. And as a result, they both had very little input on the album. It took a solid effort just to get them into the studio, let alone provide any musical input or direction as far as creating the new album went. Like I said, it almost all came down to Jones and his vision for what the new Led Zeppelin album was going to be. Even Plant himself was dealing with massive personal issues as he had just recently lost his 5-year-old son to a stomach virus. So quite obviously and understandably, his head wasn't really in the game either. So what we got was basically a John Paul Jones solo album with Robert Plant on vocals. You know, a bloody fantastic John Paul Jones solo album, however, a rather mediocre Led Zeppelin affair, certainly as compared to their previous output. The track, Wearing and Tearing, however, from the In Through the Outdoor sessions was all Jimmy Page. I think it goes without saying. This one sounds like Led Zeppelin, you know, right down to its boots. Like much of In Through the Outdoor, if there was an effort instilled in this track to sound more musically progressive as the 70s grew to a close, it was much closer to punk rock than it was to synth-heavy new wave, the two genres that were riding high at this point in time and getting all the attention. Page, when he was coherent, took it one way, you know, into the aggressive, punky style of music. The right way, in my opinion, and John Paul Jones took it the other way, and since Jones was pretty much leading the charge here on this album, he won out, and Wearing and Tearing was left off, probably as it didn't really fit the mood of the rest of the album in the least. Regardless, great goddamn Led Zeppelin track that was of course eventually released on Coda, thankfully, and today I'm going to show you guys how to play it. So let's close in here a little bit and get started, shall we? Alright then, Wearing and Tearing. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial and it starts with an A power chord, kind of a down, down, up. And then you're going to play that little progression there. You're going to slide into the 4 of the A string. You're going to hit that 4 times, then you're going to go down to the 2nd fret of the D string, hit that 3 times. And then grab the 2nd fret of the G string and hit that once. So those are the notes, but you can play it pretty fast and loose. You know, on the upstroke there, on the final note, you can catch kind of a double stop, the A power chord, right? So you repeat that 4 times. So that's kind of like the first riff of 3, because then it's going to shift into this. And it's going to repeat that 4 times. So coming out of the opening riff, repeat it 4 times, then you're going to jump up to an F sharp power chord or an F sharp major chord. And then you're going to go off to the open E string, back into the chord, and then off to an A power chord. 3, 4. And you let that A power chord ring for just a few measures, and then you're going to do this little bit of double stop work before jumping back into the F sharp power chord. It's 5th fret, slide it back to 4, double stop on the D and the G, back to the 2nd fret, back onto the 4, back onto the 2, all double stops. And then off to the open D, open G before going back into the F sharp power chord. And then you repeat this whole riff 4 times. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. And then we're into the 3rd riff. Now this F sharp power chord here that I'm playing, I think Jimmy is actually just doing like an F major, you know, right here, maybe grabbing the root note with his thumb, you know, kind of like that, right? But I prefer to go up for a full bar chord here. And then we're into the 3rd riff, which is this. And you're going to repeat that 4 times. So this is a fun little one to play. So 4th fret of the D string, hit that 3 or 4 times. Actually twice. And then you're going to back it up to the 2nd fret and go 2, 3, 4. And then reach up here, grab the 2nd fret of the low E. And you're going to repeat that twice. You're going to move the whole thing up here to the 5s and 7s and do something very similar. Except it's a little more extended. So double hit of the 7 of the D. And then you're going to go 5, 6, 7 of the D. And then for a double hit, almost every time you're on these 7s, you're going to double hit it. And then you're going to jump up to the A string, do the exact same thing, 5, 6, 7. And then back to the D string for another 5, 6, 7. But you're going to finish on the root note here on the low E string at the 5th fret. Right? So that whole riff from the beginning. Repeat 4 times. So after you repeat that 4 times, we're going to go back to the opening riff. And you're going to repeat this 4 times, but the ending of the 4th one is going to change. It's going to start the same with the A power chord, but you're going to jump up here to the 5th fret and then ride it back to 4 to 2. You're going to hit that like 3 times. Or 4 times, I think. And then we're into the first verse. First verse, D, let it ring. And then you're going to stick in D for the next chord. You're just going to come off to the open strings and right back into it. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, A power chord, 2, back to D and back to A, back to D, off and back on, back to A, back to D to A, repeat, back to A, then just before you go into the main riff again, you do one more D to A. Not the main riff, but that one, right? The third riff of the opening progression. And then back into this. Now we're into the second verse. That's pretty much the whole song. There's no solo in this one, and so that just all repeats, right? And bringing back each riff after each verse, and that's it. So I certainly hope you found that helpful, and learning this great classic Zeppelin track. And hope you're well. You know, drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that. That'd be awfully nice, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload something new. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may find you, and we will see you next time. Cheers.